Voss, I got a book too. I was thinking about you as I was reading it.
Hmm.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna shoot you a message, and you gotta order that joint, man. It's
What is
like,
it?
I forgot the name of it right now, yo. But I really be I read through. I be like, I be currently mixing between like 4 books at the same time. Because I'm like, I don't watch a lot of TV. I read. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's the reason why I don't listen to a lot of music. But I'm gonna shoot you the name of it. But it be so along the lines of, you know, like how we think oftentimes. You know what I'm saying? Like even just from the hustle perspective, like dude's talking about how he wrote this book in the 60s and was saying how he really focused morally on the black people being oppressed, but then he started to realize that whole oppressed standard, you know, surpassed just race and ethnicity. And he was talking about like that particular poor, that demographic is going to be the people who, you know, at some point were the folks who didn't have supplemental income, who, you know, who was still working at everyday 9-to-5 jobs and had no other means. And it was talking about how we were going to eventually be oppressed through the food that you eat, controlled so many different things. And I'm like, yo, fam, this was wrote in 1965 at the time. You see what I'm saying? So like he foretold this all the way through, knowing that, yo, if you in that rat race, they gonna control you. You going and he said, he was like, yo, a lot of people gonna end up dying far before they was their time because of those very reasons. Like, so I'm gonna shoot that joint to you.
Yeah, do that. Yo, has anybody ever heard of A.G. Gaston?
No.
Okay, this is a freaking shame. I just learned about this dude today. Just today, right? I'll give you some perspective. He's a black dude. By the end of his life, his net worth was like 130 million.
Wow.
He advised Kennedy, and him and Martin Luther King was homies. They used to debate because Martin Luther King was like, we got to march. He was like, nah, we need negotiation and economics. Just for perspective, when he went to do the Montgomery bus boycott, Martin Luther King was in the Gaston Hotel.
Wow.
Black dude back then. I'm just now reading his autobiography. Why do we not know who that is?
Because we only know Jay-Z. That's why.
It's like, and why has not even the civil rights people told us that? Like, that's somebody we should know. But anyway, what's bugged out to me is the industrious black people from slavery and Jim Crow, they got a mentality that even the average white American today don't have. So what can I say? It's like, so his grandnieces wrote the book or something like that. One of them is his grandniece. She said, as a young kid growing up under Uncle A.G., she said, it never occurred to us that there was anything black people couldn't do because he was doing it all, even under oppression and racism and all of that. And it's like, when you hear somebody talk like that in 1960, I'm like, what's the outlook supposed to be now? They believe,
years later,
it's almost like they believe more in our potential under the oppression when they didn't believe that the government was ever going to cooperate with our well-being. Then right now, the average American is not really about that life. So,
wow.
No.
You know?
I just Googled, dude, man, the fact that he died in 1996 and we still didn't know who he was. It's like, yo, that's wild. He died in the 90s. He was almost 100 years old.
I didn't even know
he was over 100 years old.
Wow. Boss, the next time you go to your NAACP meetings, you ask them if they know who he is.
I will. I am. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'd be interested if they even know who son is. You know what I mean? Like,
I never heard of him.
Me neither.
Never heard of
him. Sounds like somebody worth knowing.
Yeah, he really does, man. So
that's interesting. Man. So you think it's like, so you think it's deliberate to hide successful black people, or do you think it's a condition that we kind of ignore?
You know what? The person I told one person today just on casual, like, yo, you ever heard of this person? Nobody's ever heard of him. But I say, yo, there are civil rights leaders still around today. If we don't know this, why didn't a black person teach us who this person was?
Because they still feed into what they was fed.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, at some point, it's like, yeah, I understand. Like, I wish schools taught Black history, but it's like,
I'm about to say, like, you're not going to get it there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know, man. I got mixed feelings about it. I don't know. Okay, so, you know, you guys know the old joke. If you want to hide something from, keep
put it in a book.
Right. It's like, how long we been making that joke and still ain't pick up books though? Like we all heard that joke from Chris Rock back in the days, and we laughed, and then watched more TV. So it's like,
right.
And whose fault does that become now? And that's what really started one of the things that started to bother me too, because when brothers argue with me, they really do know all the oppression points. They like, yo, I'm like, yo, you could do like, yo, you don't know about FBI and COINTELPRO and J. Edgar Hoover?
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't know about what they did with the school system in 19. I'm like, yo, you know all of this stuff? Like, and you
still
like,
doing what you doing.
It's like, so that, you know what I mean? So even in trying to argue, to me, they prove the point. Like, yeah, this is you right now. This ain't them, you know? And if I'll say this real quick. If the Willie Lynch letter is true, the Willie Lynch letter said that after a while, they're going to oppress themselves.
Yep.
Like we won't have to do it. It'll take care of itself. So, you know.
So with that being said, Ross, yeah, man, I want to say something. Can I stir the pot, Rigz? Man, is that allowed on this joint?
Absolutely.
You know, going to your discussion the other day, man.
Rigz is like ratings.
You know, going to your discussion the other day, man. When we gonna confront the black church, man, for the fact that, you know, this whole social justice movement, man, is really starting to become a sham in itself. And the reasons why I say that is, to Voss's point, how do we have all these astute black scholars that had churches planted on their corners for 50 to the past 100 years, who are now deciding to come out, write books about injustices, talk about how whitewashed the gospel was.
That's an ill point.
You know, all because of the fact that Black Lives Matter, you know, a non-Christian entity, which really just kind of supports and perpetuates the homosexual agenda, decided to, you know, go viral and kind of force the church to have to move and do something. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. And so where was the church before Black Lives Matter raised the point?
Fam.
And these are like older black people who supposedly supposed to know what it is. And so now it looks like,
then there's some validity. So there's validity when people in the streets been like, yo, my mom been given to the church her whole life and they ain't been doing nothing out here. That's what you saying?
I definitely say this. I think it's twofold. Because I spoke to a group of leaders about that recently. See, some of the cats is like, they mom been giving all their life. Sometimes, yo, like, you was 7, you saw your mom give $7. Like, you probably thought it was a lot of money. So I think it's a misconception with how much they think their mom gave.
Right.
Because that's a real thing. But I do think that the church ain't been doing nothing. Oh, that's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, because even with that being said, you know, a lot of these voices, these black faces, what I call safe faces, because it's still systemic in itself. They put safe faces who went to their institutions to speak at these conferences that they know won't be too harsh, won't be too rigid, you know what I'm saying, that will be well received by their own people. They put them out there. So with that said, while you running down their credentials saying that they've been pastoring for 20 some odd years, they went to such and such theological seminary. Well, fam, you've been in your community for the last 30 years and you just realizing that black people have been oppressed. Then beyond that, we make an issue about gentrification. Well, I would like to say, where was the church at, you know, when we were allowing our communities to be deteriorated in the first place? What were we doing to change the inward man and to bring back pride into the people so that they could preserve their own communities anyway? You know what I'm saying?
Real.
So I feel like so much of this whole racial reconciliation thing, and let me guilt my Anglo and white brethren by telling them to repent for what their great granddaddy did. I think that a lot of it is garbage. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they need to repent.
Yeah, they need to repent. Right. And we need to reconcile back with our own community.
Right.
Nobody's calling the black church out. And I mean, from our white brethren, of course, they don't have the ground to do that because people will want to burn their church down. You see what I'm saying? If they did so. Right. But where's the black pastors that are actually calling out and charging and challenging the other black minority leaders to get back and reconcile with your own city? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we skip over 12 cities to go to Iowa and say, hey, me and Tim from Iowa, this is us, we're reconciled, hey, we're taking photos. How do you do that but not go address your own people and say, yo, we dropped the ball? You see what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like the racial reconciliation movement is really just, especially with black pastors that are really kind of championing that message, they're preparing themselves for the new mixed you know what I'm saying, diverse communities that's coming. Like, fam, you don't really care about white people enough to sit there and say, hey, no, we all need to play together. You know that, hey, they're moving in, they're coming. Let us create an environment that's conducive to receive them.
That's interesting.
You know, so I'm very, very bothered because I've been to these conferences. I've had the chance to speak at some, connect with some people, teach some workshops at some. No fruit is being bared from this. I feel like we have a lot of black faces, brown faces who are profiting off this plight. And when you start to look in the courtrooms, you still don't see black pastors. When you start to go to the communities, to the corners, you still don't see black pastors. But yet they'll write a book, and to somebody that's 20 states over, they're going to think you're credible because you're black and you're saying, hey, I preach in D.C. I'm right in the ghetto. Anything's the ghetto to somebody that's in Manchester, West Virginia.
To somebody that don't live around black people.
There you go.
Inner city can mean a bunch of things.
Boom, there you go. So and they're capitalizing, bro. And I ain't going to lie, like, I really feel a way, and I feel like, where are we at in really trying to challenge the black church again and its leaders? Because we're all aiming for the middle class intellectual black or white folk right now. It ain't for the hood.
Because it's the people that pay taxes and tithes, brother.
Tithes, there you go.
Taxes and tithes, brother.
There you go. Because guess what?
Board members.
There you go. The real broken folk is going to take too much investment, too much commitment, too much effort. And guess what? And they got too many real life situations going on to where they may not ever decide to come to church because the baby dad might have got locked up or the cousin got killed. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, we are intentionally missing that with this whole propaganda and crack about social justice, fam. It's just like, and it bothers me because even with gentrification, fam, with all these minority leaders that are trying to talk about the dangers of gentrification, fam, Voss, you in real estate, you know, 20 years ahead of time, developers was already planning these moves. Y'all ain't stopping gentrification. So y'all might as well stop crying about that. But what are you doing to go reach those who are being displaced somewhere else? And what are you doing to transform their lives and prepare them to create a heaven here on earth, wherever they're living? You see what I'm saying?
That's good.
And we ain't talking about that stuff. It's like, yo, we keep addressing the same nonsense. You know what I mean? And yeah, so I'm burnt out with going to them conferences too, by the way. So like, I'm not going to like real rap, but it's trash to me. That's just my opinion. So Rigz, I had to shake the table on that, man.
Yo, you on fire right now, yo. You definitely on fire right now with that.
Yeah, social justice to me, social justice has become like a emotional hot button that people manipulate. You know what I mean? People, you play on people's emotions to get them excited. You know, and you can't say who don't care and who does. I'm not, you know, and I make fun of the people who claim to be social justice activists sometimes, not because I don't think it's a worthwhile pursuit, but again, like when I read about what the ancestors went through, bro, and I think about what people are calling racism today, it's almost like, you know, part of it is still, I think part of it is lashing back out of the trauma. Like if a white person tweets something that's inappropriate, mildly or extremely racist, it's like they want their lives to be over. Now, on the flip side, though, that's a level of accountability that our grandmothers and grandparents could have never imagined anyway. That a white person would say something or type something and lose everything practically, be fired from a job. And it's like, well, white people are being held accountable for racism like never before in the history of the country. And because of that, now we got to, and I feel like there's certain parts of certain cultures. White culture is not a monolith. But this whole new age, like, oh my gosh, I can't take what you're saying. Speech is violence. I need a safe space on my college campus. You know, it's like, that's not a black culture thing. And I think we would do well to leave that behind. You know what I mean? We've had to endure a lot more than just people tweeting. You know what I'm saying? So, just saying.
Hey, bro, I'm with you, fam. And I'm telling you, I'm just like, I'm going to tell you, Voss, right now, you know what the social justice movement is headed towards? Is headed towards the prosperity gospel. The same way in which folk was preaching that you were going to get this and get that, and guess what? It never materialized, but they made their money. They got their money from you. The same way in which everybody's writing these books. We got a bunch of bookworms and book nerds that are sitting here trying to tell people about prison life and everything else. They're not bringing nobody credible to the forefront to talk about the real issues, you know, who are literally embedded and entrenched in the issues. But it's all stimulating the level of academia that everybody seeks in all of this. You see what I'm saying? Wow. It's a way for us to express you know, our theological system and kind of implement a little bit of social justice and sprinkle it on top of it, but it's never producing the fruit that God actually desires to see from all of this. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's trash. Like you said, what people call racism now compared to what it was back then, what people consider activism now. Dude, cats that tweet on the internet all day and call themselves an activist. It's like, that ain't no activism. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I retweeted it.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, a retweet is considered support.
Come on, man. Yeah, this is the prosperity gospel, man.
I was gonna say they selling books like Joel Osteen.
Absolutely.
Like that's what I've seen. You know, like them books are just selling off the shelves. Like they hype it up on Twitter, and you just you see like Sean King probably write a book, and it just be selling like a freaking like a gold record. You know. So
all to play to your emotions. Like this is what it does. It either makes the black person angry or the white person guilty. Yet none of them produce results. None of them got tangible results. Nobody has there's no ending to it. You know what I'm saying? Like I had some of my white friends tell me to read certain books, and they're like, Pastor, I would love your views on this because you're really doing some things and you make a lot of great points. I want you to see if you took anything away from it, because honestly, it's literally there to stir you up. You know what I'm saying? But nobody's talking about what needs to be tangibly done. And it's like, fam, everybody's making their coin. The conference game is like mega $1 million industry right now. You know what I'm saying? And no fruit is being produced, man, in these inner city communities. And everybody calls it that because they don't want to call it the ghetto or the hood. You know what I'm saying? But that's just that's the Christian version of saying, yo, the ghetto, the hood. But everybody, inner city, nothing, or urban, right? Nothing is being done there from all of this right now. The only people that are stirred up are the intellectuals.
So check this out.
Maybe it takes a remnant, though. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it takes a remnant because
that's true.
I know I could say at least 3 churches that's consistent for years. You know what I'm saying? But it's only 3 churches when there's 40 churches on the block.
Right.
So many.
Right.
Let's connect. I'm with it. Hey, I'm coming out the Bronx tomorrow too, by the way. You know
Did you get your pass? You didn't get your pass, right?
I'm good nationally, baby. I'm cool.
Yeah.
I'm
all right. Where you gonna be at?
Yo, checking in, bro.
Yo, drop your location, man.
I definitely will. I ain't checking in, man. I ain't doing that, man. Listen, it was God's land before it was anybody else's. You know what I mean? So I'm good there.
That's what I'm talking about.
I hear freedom. Just drop your location, though.
For sure. I'm gonna be there.
Right. Yo, so check this out. Tell me what you guys think about this. Some of you guys heard me use that term, inferiority privilege.